Hello and welcome to Tabletop Oddity. My name is Jay and today I want to talk about the Hyperspace format and the system open / extended format for Star Wars X-Wing and why I actually think it's a pretty good idea. And I realise I'm a bit late to the party. This has been known for months, but with a bit of thought, I'm actually pretty happy with it. So I'll talk about why that in a moment, but first and foremost, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, then please do consider doing that as it really does help. Now I will explain the difference between Extended and Hyperspace, except I probably won't do a great job, but I will try my best. The Extended format is every ship that has ever been released. Because basically X-Wing 2.0 came out in September, and there was a plethora of ships that had been released in 8 years or whatever time, however long the original came out ago. And all those ships are useful in the extended format. It's pretty much everything. You need to buy a conversion kit for a lot of these ships because they don't actually have a second edition version of it unless you buy the conversion kit, but it's everything, so all the old players are all happy. Now the Hyperspace format, it's not quite this, but I'll get onto why in a second. It's essentially the beginner ships or wave 1 and 2 from the old ones, sort of, but the ones that are getting done in the second edition version boxes. So for example, the TIE Advanced, it's not in the core set, but it's Darth Vader's ship. You can now buy the second edition version of that. If you buy the first edition version of that, you would need the conversion kit to use it in second edition, but you can just buy the second version kit for it. Now, it's not, the problem is the Hyperspace format isn't actually just all the stuff that's got second edition versions, because for example on the Empire side of things you've got the TIE Striker, the TIE Reaper. I actually think the TIE Reaper is maybe second edition. I can't remember, there was the one that came out right at the very end, so I think the TIE Reaper is, but the TIE Striker isn't. But the TIE Striker is the thing that's coming next. So it's the Hyperspace format is sort of the stuff that is coming soon, but they may not have necessarily released all of it for. And I think that's the case with the Rebels. They've got the Falcon, which I don't think we've got the second edition Rebel version of the Falcon, and the U-Wing, which I don't think we've got the Rebel edition of the U-Wing yet. But those ships are going to be the ones that are going to get re-releases next. So this Hyperspace format is essentially stuff that has been re-released in second edition, plus stuff that is coming soon to be re-released in second edition. Right, which is a bit awkward if you're a beginner player. You can't have some of the ships unless you buy a conversion kit, even in this format. But I think for beginners, the whole goal is that you're actually just going to wait and pick up the ships as you go, right? That's essentially what that's for. And that's fine. I understand that it's not ideal. I think even FFG would probably admit that that's not ideal, but the alternative to that would just to have a really small, boring game of 2 or 3 ships, maybe even 1 ship, I'm not sure, for some of the factions. And that would be not very good at all. So they've gone with this Hyperspace format, which is a beginner-friendly format, but it's not 100% perfect, right? But I still think that's actually a really good thing, because if you're a beginner getting into the competitive kind of scene, or whatever you want to say, there are so many ships, so many abilities, so many pilots, so much going on that, you know, it's really hard to keep up all the upgrades, all of this. And the Hyperspace version just sort of condenses it into a smaller, manageable chunk, which I think is great for beginners. Obviously, your seasoned vets are like, but I want to fly my blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, well, you can't have your jump master or what have you. You might actually be able to have a jump master. I don't understand your father's gun, but yeah, for beginners it's actually a really good thing. And having the Hyperspace tournaments at the stores, I think, is a great way of doing it. Having the system opens, the nationals at like conventions and massive venues is a good way of doing the massive conventions. Like that would possibly be intimidating for a beginner, whereas going to your store and having 50 to 100 people is less like intimidating, especially considering that stores are having, you know, 5 to 20 man tournaments quite regularly around the country, well, at least in the UK. So I think you've really now got a nice little like step up in progression for people along the competitive scene. You can go to your league on a Tuesday, you can go to the tournaments on the Saturday, but then you can go to the bigger events around the country, which are like the Hyperspaces that are in this limited format. Once you go from that, you can go into the full extended universe with the system opens, and well, there was a UK one in Milton Keynes, and then the FFG Nationals at the UK Game Expo. And you know, if you're really good, you then go to Worlds and all that kind of stuff. But I actually think that's a really beginner-friendly way of doing it. Yes, ideally, they would have had a lot of, like every ship that is in the Hyperspace version probably should already now have, before the first Hyperspaces happen, probably should have all the releases. I'm not 100% sure if they will or they won't. I think the first Hyperspace that I've seen is in March, and I know the next wave is actually, I think it might be next month, so it might be March. They might be pretty much coinciding with each other, which in that case FFG done a great job and I'm really impressed. But yeah, even if it's not, I still think it's okay because they'll be coming out soon. Now, there is a secondary part to this that I haven't really mentioned. This Hyperspace format could essentially be a system to adopt the trading card way of doing, I just say it, trading card way of keeping things smaller than what the whole game. So for example, in Magic the Gathering, they'll have like a standard section, which are like everything that you can currently use in a standard event. And then they have like the full extended universe. I don't actually know the terms, never really played Magic the Gathering, never really been interested in it. But I think they might rotate what the standard is. So something that was out 6 years ago might come back into play now with maybe like a new release. So this rotation idea is what I think really could be interesting. And they could just essentially have, as they have like, I don't know, let's say they want 7 ships a faction. Once they release an 8th in the second edition boxes and second edition universe, they could essentially then phase out ship number 1. And then once they do a 9th, ship number 2. And then they could just be like, well, no, we're going to mix things up. We're going to bring back ship number 1, but ditch ship number 7 or 6 or whatever the hell it is. And have this sort of rotation to keep the Hyperspace format manageable for a slightly more casual audience. Now, the X-Wing crew are probably like, how could you say that, Jay? But as somebody who's playing X-Wing as my second game, there's so much to learn that it's actually pretty difficult for me to retain all of that in this not very smart noggin I've got up here, you see. Whereas this Hyperspace system, or what I'm proposing, the rotation system, which a lot of people, and I say I'm proposing it, a lot of people think that might be where it's going. It's not like I've created this or thought about this originally. That would be manageable for a large chunk of people. Like a slightly larger chunk of people. If you're playing extended, you already know that stuff. So you're not really too worried. Yes, you'd probably like your big extended tournaments at your stores, and that might eventually go and you might not have that, but it depends like how popular these are. Like if the Hyperspaces are more popular than the System Opens, on average, as in, you know, more people go more consistently, then that is a good thing, surely, especially if it's leading to more sales for FFG. And if you still want extended, well, you have your leagues, you have your Saturday, Sunday tournaments, you've got your System Opens, your Nationals. There's still going to be big events for you, but I think it would be nice to have a beginner-friendly entry point, and I think the Hyperspace format definitely could be. Now, I actually think I'm pretty sure the first Hyperspace I've seen is March, and I think the next wave is March. So it might be that for the Empire, the TIE Striker is the one that's coming out in March, and that's exactly when they've officially allowed them to start the Hyperspaces, and that everything that is playable in that format has been released, which would be ideal. I've not checked all the upgrades, I've not checked all the pilots, I've not checked all that kind of stuff, but it's sort of near enough that that's the case, which is near enough for most beginners. And I'm personally really tempted to sort of ditch the Hyperspace event, not the Hyperspace event, the System Open event. I've bought my ticket for the Milton Keynes event in the UK, which is a big Hyperspace System Open, 600 odd people planning on going, and I'm actually tempted to cancel it because I don't think I'll do that well against really seasoned vets. However, in March, there's loads of stores that have got Hyperspaces. I think like Harlequin's down the road, and Preston's got one, Element Games got one. There's just going to be a lot more potential for me to get to these Hyperspaces than, say, the System Opens, and I can probably do a little bit better there because I can actually tailor and learn the Hyperspace system a lot easier than learning the extended system. So what I might do is for this year is just dedicate myself to the Hyperspace system, Even if I go to a tournament that's extended, I might just take a Hyperspace list. And I might try and get some like lists that we can talk about on the channel, maybe even look at battle reports on the channel that are all in this Hyperspace format, because I think it's beginner friendly, and that's me at the minute. I am that guy who started in 2nd edition, who is now trying to get better. So I'm happy with the Hyperspace system. I can understand if you're an extended person, you've been in the game for a long time, you might be like, I don't get to go to as many big events. Yeah, I can sort of understand that, I feel that. But you can still play Hyperspace, you know. It should still be a fun mode, hopefully. It's still a fun game. And in fact, you might like the rotation idea, because you get to use different ships eventually than you ever would in the extended version where people are just trying to break the meta. So I'm happy about it. I think it's a good idea. I realised I've rambled on for about 11 minutes talking about this, but yeah, what do you think about that idea? Maybe just me concentrating on Hyperspace, because it's because Legion's like my main thing and X-Wing's sort of like my secondary thing, but I don't want to not play X-Wing and not do videos and stuff. So yeah, the idea is maybe I just concentrate on Hyperspace. One thing I've learned in this video, man, I need to get my haircut. Jeez Louise, I look mental. Have a beautiful day. Like the video if you liked it, or just let me know what you think about Hyperspace and the extended format for sure. Let me know about that. Have a most beautiful day. Subscribe if you're not already, and goodbye. Bye guys.